All right. Yes, Joshua, your question, you are mixing it up. You are mixing it up now. This thing, because of this endpoint and this async function, it means that this is your API, not your middleware. So you don't need the next function here. The only place you need this next function is inside this your middleware called validate login. And yes, the next function should be the last thing in that function. So like I said, you are mixing it up. This here is your endpoint. This async function is your function to handle the API request. Now, inside this async function, you don't need this next. You need this next inside this function called validate login. And yes, the next should be the last thing. It should be called this way, the last thing in that function. So that's the first question. Now, the second question is the confirming of password when we are registering. Will the confirmed password and the password be first compared, then hashed? When it comes to compare the confirmed password, that is not your job to confirm a user's password. The front end will ask the user to enter their first password and enter the second password. If the two passwords match, then it means the user knows what they are doing. So it's not your job to confirm whether password match. What you are asking for is for one password. They send you just one password. Now, the Bcrypt compare, what it does is to confirm the password that is already on your database and the one the user is currently sending, if the two of them match. So that is what Bcrypt compare will do. Now, it is either going to return true or false. True meaning that the password match, and false meaning that the password does not match. Like I said, the way I do it is I don't hash it again. I just pass in the two passwords. Now Bcrypt knows what it did, so it will do it again. But what most people do is they will take the new password and hash it again and then compare the two of them. So that's like doing double work, but I don't do that. Verification email that they will send to us on our email that we should click on the link. Now, it's not the access token, it's the active token. So when you are sending an email to a user, the intention is that you want to verify that that email actually belongs to that user. So it means that until you verify, their account will not be activated. So that is why it is the active token you send to them. That token is used to activate their account. While access token is using, you give it to them to give access to whatever information is on the platform. If we have time, if there's time on our side, wisdom, we're going to talk about that, but that is if we have the time, if we do have the time. All right, so everybody understand their project. Congratulations, Ayo. Congratulations. Now, everybody understands their project. Is that what you are saying? There's no need to explain any other project. We can continue with what we have. Is that what you all are saying? All right. If we are good to go, please drop a thumbs up so that I know that we are continuing with the class. Project 5. Project 5. Yeah, this is project 5. And now for project 5, the goal is to build a backend that allows recipe sharing. So users are going to be able to log in or register, and then when they register, they can create recipes that they want to share. So what is the procedure? What's the procedure? The first thing is the recipe management. So the first thing, you create a schema for your recipes. Now the schema is asking for a few fields. The first one is the title of the recipe, the ingredient, instructions, the author. Now the author here is going to be the user ID, meaning that this person that is trying to create a recipe must first create an account. So the user must first create an account, and when they are making the second request to create a recipe, they should be sending you the user ID. And then they send categories and maybe any other thing you want to add to it. So that is how to create a recipe. Now you do the create, which is create, read, update, and delete one. So you do CRUD, you should be able to create one, read all, read one, update one, and delete one for all of these recipes. That's the first thing. So you create endpoints to retrieve all of the recipes. And the second thing is you can either choose to retrieve by categories or by ingredients or by user preference. More like you need to send me what you want, send me a category. I will search the whole database and return the recipe with that particular category. And also you want to do favorite rating. Now there are so many ways to do favorites and rating. The first one is favorites. So it is either you are going to create an empty array in the user schema. An empty array in the user schema. So what that array will be is that any recipe they like, you take the ID of that recipe and you save it inside the user, that empty array. So you push it into that empty array for every time. Now the second one is you create a new schema. You create a new schema. Now the favorite will be you use the user ID, the recipe ID, and then the rating value, and you save it. So automatically you are performing a new CRUD. Now you are performing CRUD with the user ID, the recipe ID, and the rating value, whether they are rating it 1 or 2 or 3. So this is like three things, three objects for creating favorites and ratings. And the next thing is the content management. Make sure that they are sending you the right content, the user interactions, make sure you are saving what the user is sent for. And then the most important part, which you may want to try, is the search. Being able to search based on categories or ingredients or the user preference. So these are the persons working on the project: Tosin, Ayo, Shitu, and Joshua. Okay. Project 3. Project 3. Project 3 is the food delivery. So food delivery. The goal is to create user authentication, then the restaurant menu, the order menu, and optional, the delivery management. So what you are doing is make sure that users are able to register and log in. The user details should contain the user name, the email, the password. You hash the password, and then the user role. So their role can either be the customer, the restaurant owner, or a delivery personnel. That is for your login and your registration. The second thing is you create a new schema, and this schema will be for the restaurant or maybe the restaurant menus. This schema should have the name of the restaurant. The first one is for the restaurant. The second one is for the menu. So you are creating two schemas here. The first one is to create restaurant. The second one is to create menus. So for the restaurant, you are accepting restaurant name, location, contact info, and associated menu. This associated menu is like the ID of the menu created here. So it means that you need to create the menus first, or you create the restaurant, keep this one as default empty. This is going to be empty. When this is created, you pick the ID and you update this one. These are two ways to do it. Now the second schema, you need the item, that's the menu. You need the item name, the description, the price, and whether it is available or not. So you perform CRUD for the two of them, the restaurant and the menu. So you are creating restaurant and you are creating menu. But every restaurant, you are adding here the ID of the menus. The second one is for the orders. So you create another schema to take orders. People who are going to place order for food. Now, in this schema, you want to get the user ID. So the person who is going to make this order, you get their ID. The restaurant they are making the order to, you get the restaurant ID here. Then the ordered items. So maybe you are getting the ordered items by their name or maybe by their ID. It depends on how you want to get it. Then the total cost, the amount, what it costs for that order, and maybe the order status. The order status can either be pending, it's preparing, or out for delivery, or it has already been delivered. So optional, if you finish all of this, and you still have time, you can talk about creating CRUD for delivery. Delivery means you want to create a new schema to accept the name of the person who is going to be doing the delivery, the contact info, the vehicle details, and the current status of the person doing the delivery, like that. So this is for, but if you still don't understand, I think that's a little bit clear. The most important thing here is authentication, creating restaurant and the menu, and then creating orders. Now, if you still have time, you can talk about delivery management. All right, project 1. Project 1 is to create a donation platform. Now, we know what a donation platform is. An example is this, what's it called? Is it crowd? What is it called again? GoFundMe. So what you do is you create registration, authentication, registration, and login. You should be expecting the user for the schema. The most important thing is their email and password, but you can add any other information you want for user registration. You can add any other information you want, but the most important thing is the email and their password. They should be able to log in also with their email and password. The second thing is creating a cause for donation. What do you want people to donate to? So you create a schema for the causes or the cause. Now what you're expecting is the title of the cause, the description, the goal amount, the raised amount, and the organizer. Now the organizer here will be the ID of the user that has created this cause. That will be their ID here. So you get all of this information and you perform CRUD for these causes, meaning you create one, you read all, you read one, you update one, and you delete one for all of the causes. The second one is the donation process. Donation means they need to be able to send in an amount. So we are supposed to integrate a payment gateway. If we have the time, we are going to do that. But if we don't, we might skip it. But hopefully, I think we might have time. So, but the only reason why I say if we have time is the shortfall here is that we're supposed to get an API key, a test API key for either Flutterwave or Paystack. Either of them, with either of them, we're supposed to. I think Paystack now, if you feel like you can, I'm talking to those who are actually working on group 1, on project 1 rather. So you can create an account to Paystack create an account to Paystack. I think that will be in the test mode. So I'll show you how to integrate Paystack and make payments. So, but the most important thing is that you are creating um, like a transaction first that is going to update the amount that has been raised here. That's the most important. So you're creating an API here that is going to raise this amount. What you need to accept here is going to be the ID of this course, to find this course, and the amount the user wants to fund this course with. So you take the ID of the course, find the course, and then add that amount to the raised amount for every of those courses. That's all. But if you have time, you can create an account with Paystack, and I'll show you how to integrate Paystack, or maybe Flutterwave, or any payment gateway you feel like. You create the account. You can use the test mode to test how to integrate payment gateways to accept the money, actually. But whether you do that or not, just find a way to raise this amount for every time a user funds these courses. So I think that's all. And we have two persons, only two persons here. All right, that's fine. Now, logging with fingerprint on their phone, it means that they are already using that phone, and the phone knows the owner of that login. Or maybe, now there are so many ways you can actually implement login with fingerprints, but generally it's coming from the phone, it's not from you, except you want to give them the ability to create a fingerprint on your platform. Except you want to give them that opportunity. But I think one way, that's for mobile app, one way is if you gain access to their device. So if you're gaining access to their device, and you can only do that on mobile phones. But you don't need to worry about that for now. You don't need to. Yes, I am recording it. Yes. I hope those people that I'm explaining their project, you're actually writing it down. But good thing we are recording it, sure, but you should actually be writing it down. Yes, the user ID will be the one generated from MongoDB. Yeah. All right. If there is any other question, please go ahead and ask before we proceed. Please ask before we proceed. 30 minutes gone. I think we can actually take 1 hour to explain the project. I want to explain your project. If you don't understand your project, so it will not be maybe 1 week later you are asking for explanation on the project, because this Friday I should be expecting you to submit something. So it means that from today till Friday, you started working on your project. Now, I'm not giving you a target for this week. I'm not giving you a target, meaning build anything and send. You get your full mark for this week. Build anything and send. So what are you sending? You build your project, deploy to GitHub, and then send me a link. Project 2. Project 2 is an online quiz, something like a JAM platform, a CBT exam platform. So the most important thing is their email and password. So you're creating registration to register with their email and password. If you want to add any other information, that's your choice. But the most important thing is email and password. Create the login and the registration for every user. The second thing is you need to create a quiz. Create a quiz, meaning you create a schema for the quiz. Now the quiz is going to be in this format. You have the title and you have the questions and the answers, meaning there are different ways to do it. You can either say for questions, you are creating a schema that will have an object. So the question is going to be an object depending on the number of questions. So each key in that object will be question 1. You put the question. Answer 1, you put the answer. Question 2, that is if you want it that way. But you can also have it another way, meaning you're just creating one question at a time, one question at a time. So it means you create the question, you create the answer. You create the question, you create the answer. So you are sending CRUD for so many times. Question 1. So this is going to be titled question 1. You put the question, then you put the answer. Then another one, you perform question 2. You put the question and you put the answer. So this is the second way to do it also. Now the creator here is going to be the ID of the user creating this quiz. Also, you can choose to add category, call it whatever you want to call it. But these are the two ways. So you are creating different questions. But for each question you create, you put the answer there. For every question you create, you put the answer there. That is how you create the quiz. Now, the quiz participation is users should be able to get all the questions. Users should see all the questions. When they are submitting back to you, they should be submitting all their answers. So they are not submitting all the questions. Rather, they are submitting the ID of the quiz. And then if your quiz are 10 questions, they should be submitting 10 questions. A, B, C, D. Number 1, A, number 2, B, depending on how you want it. If you want it to be theory, the same thing, you can actually put it as theory. So what you're expecting here is going to be the ID of the quiz and their answers. Their answers, you might take it as one full object. So it needs to be object question 1, A, question 2, B. So the keys now is going to be the question number, and then the value will be the answers to each of those questions they are sending to you. And I think I should actually demo that so that you don't get confused. I think it's inside here. Go to, and it should be this one. I just wanted to show you. You know what? I think I have Postman. So let me use Postman to demo it, show you how it should look like. So this is my Postman. Now, if I'm going to create the question, it should be something like this: quiz ID, and then here will be answers. But the answers is going to be an object. So this will be question 1. You put the answer, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be question 2, and then question 3. You're separating each one with comma like this. So this is how they are sending you the answer for each quiz. And also you should be taking the ID of the user that submitted this quiz like this. So the quiz ID, the user ID, and all their answers. Question 1 is this, question 2 is this, question 3 is this. Or you can do it this way, not object. You say question 1, you put the answer. You come down, you put question 2, You put the answer. You can also do it this way if you want. So this is how you can choose to submit the answer. Now, when you submit the answer, that is where the logic happens now. Your backend is supposed to accept all the answers using this quiz ID. You should find the quiz. When you find the quiz, make sure the quiz is there. Find the quiz. Now, each of that quiz is supposed to be coming with their answers. So find all the quiz and then check whether the answers provided for each question matches each quizzes. That's like where the main logic comes in. So make sure you accept the answer. Since you've created the question, check the questions against the answer that was provided to see if they match. If you deliver this project, trust me, believe me, you can work for JAM. If you deliver this particular project, because that is exactly the same model JAM is using. Not just JAM, including aptitude tests, all these CBT exams, is the same format they are using. So, but it's not going to be easy. Now, what I want to actually trash out is the idea that your project is supposed to be easy. No. This is real life project. It's not supposed to be easy. Now, when you are given a project, any project at all, whether they are paying you or whether they are not paying you, at first, you will not know everything. Of course, you will not know everything. But there will be one or two things you know in it. That is how project comes. Now, even when a project is given to me. Now, why do I say so? I remember when I was working on a project for a particular client, and he said, this project is supposed to be easy for me now. Me that is an advanced developer, it's supposed to be easy for me. That I said, this project is not easy because it has not been done before. If it has been done before, I will just go where they've done it and copy the code base, copy the whole code and paste it for you, and it will be working. But no, now even if it has been done, it has not been done exactly the way you are asking it to be done. So you have to think it through. So when you are given a project, at first you will not know everything. If you are expecting that you will know everything, then you are wrong. You will not know everything. You can start with the basic authentication, get the authentication, then create the quiz. From there, you start figuring out how to mark the answers. And then return a response with all the answers and the one they passed. So if you are looking at the project, they are real life projects. They are projects you can show anybody, I worked on this and it will make sense. And like I said, it's not something we know all of them at the same time. So I'm saying this for this quiz part because this is 2-in-1. You accept the answers, you mark the answers, and you return a feedback. So your response here should not be successful, but your response should be your feedback. So you are giving them score. If you are adding score to each question, what you should be returning here will be their total score. If you are not adding scores, what you should be returning here should be the number of questions they passed and the ones they failed. Like that. That should be your feedback. But continue, you still have time. We can think about that. Project 4. Project 4. Project 4 is the fitness tracker. Like I said before, everybody is building authentication. So for fitness tracker, the most important thing is their username, their email, their password, and their profile. Now, their profile is going to be their age, their gender, and their fitness goals. So you can either put all of these three in one object or you put them singly. It mustn't be together in one object. But these keys must be there. These are the most important things. Any other thing you want to add, you are free to add. Perform registration, and then make sure they are able to log in with either their username or their email to log in that way. Now, the second thing is creating a workout. So you create a schema to create different types of workout sessions or maybe workout types. So to create different types of workouts. So your schema should accept the name of the workout, the exercises to be done during the workout session, the duration, how long it will take, and the date for each workout. That's the first thing. The second thing is create another schema for exercises. The name of the exercises. So that means that before you create the workout, what you need to do is create all exercises to tell the type of exercise, whether it's cardio or for strength, the duration, and if you do it, how many calories will be burnt, like that. So you create so many exercises that when you are creating a workout, the exercises here will not be text, but will be an array of all the exercises ID. And like I said, it's a real life project. It's not something that you know by default, but you're supposed to know how to push to an array. So it means that all of these exercises, you take all the IDs and add the IDs into these exercises here when you are creating a workout. That's one. The second one is nutrition. So you create different type of meal plans. So you create a schema for meal plans. Now, each meal should have the meal name, the ingredients, then nutritional informations. Either you want to add all of them as an object, nutritional information, or you add them singly, the calorie, the protein, the carbs, the fat, and make sure you are adding the user that created that nutrition plan. So you're adding the user ID. So while they are sending you all of these details, they should also be sending you the user ID. So make sure you perform CRUD, meaning create the endpoint for create, the endpoint for read all, the endpoint to read one, get one by the ID, update one, and delete one. That is for nutrition. So optional is going to be for the progress tracking, meaning that you create a schema with different fields. The user ID, that is the user that wants to be tracked, the date, the weight loss. So for every day they perform or they do that exercise, they are supposed to create the user ID. They're supposed to create a progress. So they are sending you their user ID, the date, the weight, their body measurement, and their workout achievement. For every day they perform a workout, they should send you these details. Every day they perform a workout, they should send you these details. So with these details, you can either tell whether the person is reducing in weight or they are adding weight. Every day they perform a workout session, they should send you these details like that. So implement the sections for getting to create one, read all, update one, and delete one. That is what these things mean. Display progress, allow user to monitor their fitness journey. So you are creating the progress. You're also creating a nutritional plan. You are creating a workout and exercises. In total, you are creating two schemas here, one schema here and one schema here. That is 4 schemas. If you add this one, it is 5 schemas. So for fitness tracker, you are creating 5 schemas. And like I said, this is a real life project. It's not going to be exactly how you expect it to be, but start with the one you know. Start with authentication, start with creating this, start with creating this. So you know how to create before you start talking about pushing the ID. This one is actually simple, straightforward, but I don't know if it's because it's me, but it should be easy for everyone who is working on this project. And I think Karim is working on this project, so I need to add her name. I forgot to add that. All right. So project 5, really? Sunday, I don't understand the question. You mean if you are not included or if you are included in the project? I don't really understand this. Ayo, project 5 again. when you say unique true, unique means that particular detail cannot be the same again anywhere on your database. So it's going to be used once. It cannot be used again, that particular detail. So any key you add unique true to, it means that that key cannot appear twice again on the same schema. It cannot appear twice again on the same schema. That is what unique means. So let's take project 5 one last time. Project 5 is the recipe sharing, like for YouTube, food creation, and maybe you have a food blog or a food website or a food app, any of those things. That's what this recipe sharing means. So it can either be used the way YouTube uses it or so. Sunday, like I said, I don't understand this question. If you can type it again. Oh, your name is not in the project. Sorry. I will add you to project 3 then. I will add you to project 3. But let's explain project 5. You are building authentication. The most important thing here is the username, the email, the password. Make sure you are adding their bio, their favorite, and the cuisines. So that is if they have any favorites, you're supposed to add this in their favorites. So, but here you are creating all of these details first before they're adding their profile. The second thing is to create a recipe. Create a schema that would accept the title of the recipe, the ingredients, the instructions, the author, that is the user that is creating this. So the author will be the user ID that is creating this. The categories it falls in. The category can either be vegan or gluten-free, whatever category you want to use. Perform CRUD for the recipe. Create one recipe, read all recipe, read one recipe, update one recipe, delete one recipe. So here, you allow users to search. Search means they send you a category. You use that category to search all the recipe to see which of the recipes are their categories matching the category the user has sent to you. So you either do it with categories or with ingredients or with the user preference, anyone. That is how you search. So they send you a details, you use that detail to search all the recipe database. The second one is the favorite and rating. Favorite and rating, you create a new schema that should accept the user ID, the recipe ID, and the rating they want to create that recipe. So either they are rating it 1 star or 2 star or 3 star or 5 star, whatever star they are rating that recipe. So you create one favorite and rating, you read one favorite and rating, you read all favorites and rating, you update one favorite and rating, and you delete one favorite and rating. And let's go to project 3 and add Sunday. Sunday, your name is here now in project 3.
It's not here. Okay.
I can see it here.
Okay, I didn't
Your
check it.
name is already here.
Okay, free.
Whether you call it required, whether you call it require, whatever you call it, the backend will answer you. Project 6. Yeah, Sunday, your name is actually here. I can see it. These are the people working on project 6. Well, just go ahead and work on your project. So project 6, what is project 6? Project 6 is expense tracker, like a budget tracker. The same thing that we have it, I think it's on CareerEX and is it on Pay? paid, is it called payday or what? OP, like a budget tracker. So what you do is, the most important thing, you create account, your username, email, password, and if you want to add the currency, you add the currency, you add a budget limit. You add a budget limit while they are creating an account. So you should be able to register, and you should also be able to log in. That's the first step. The second step is to create income and expense. So meaning that you are creating two schemas, one schema for income, one schema for expenses. One schema for income, one schema for expenses. Now for the income, they should be sending you the source, where it's coming from, the amount, the date, and the user ID, the person that has that income. The second schema is the expenses. You should be creating the category, what the expense was for. If it's for school fees, you put it as a category for school fees or for whatever. The amount, the date, and the user ID. Now you perform CRUD for the two of them. Create one income, create one expense. Read one income, read one expense. Read all incomes, read all expenses. Update one income, update one expenses. Delete one income, delete one expenses. So you are working on two schemas here. Optional is the budget reporting. Budget reporting means that you implement a system for users to set budget and generate financial reports. So you create a schema that accepts the category they want to budget for. Maybe they are budgeting for school fees, or they're budgeting for rent, or they're budgeting for anything. You create a schema. The category should be what they are budgeting for, the amount, the user ID, and the time period. So you are creating an endpoint that is going to show what happens based on their income and their expenses. Now you categorize their income and you categorize their expenses based on these budgets. So if the category here says it is for rent, you want to know whether their expenses for rent, because they'll be creating expenses, has exceeded the amount they set here. So they either when they create a budget and they are making expenses, you use that expenses to check this budget you set, how many of your expenses exceeded it, how many of your expenses are below it, and how many of your expenses are actually within that range. Then you'd also do the same thing maybe for their incomes to check how many times, how much they make. But I think the most important one here should be the expenses, like that. So you create an expense, use that expenses to find all the expenses made under that categories, how many of them are greater than the budget and how many of them are below the budget, like that. Tell me, Topper, did you pick a number? If you picked a number, I don't think you would miss it. Let me check. But if you haven't, please go ahead. Just pick a number and I'll add you. I'll add you somewhere. Just pick a number and I'll add you. So that is all for projects. I think we still have 3 minutes to talk about your project before we continue with our class. If there is any question, ask. Project 3, why not 3? Why not project 6? If I add it to project 6 and project 1, I think project 1 has 2 persons. Let me see how many persons are in project 3. We have so many persons in project 3. So pick between project 1 and project 6. For project 6, how many persons are there? Let me check. Just 1 person. So pick project 1 or project 6. Okay, project 1. Dennis, project 1. All right? Nobody's going to project 6. I'll add you to project 1, the donation platform. So, like I said, I'll be expecting your first commission on Friday. Rema, I've not added you to a project. Rema, you're not been added. Okay, let me see. Project 6, right? I think I should be adding Juliana here too. I think so. Is Juliana on this call? Juliana, should I add you to project 6? Because we have so many persons in project 3 already. Should I add you to project 6? So while you are working on your project, I will always be available. Drop your questions. I'll answer your questions. I hope today and tomorrow should be our last class so that we use the remaining classes for projects. Bisola, are you saying something?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for project 3, so when you asked us to create a restaurant schema, you also included that we include an associated menu, and you said that the associated menu is like the menu ID. So I want to ask that, is it like there's a special way to include an ID into a schema, like an ID from another schema into the restaurant schema? Is it something like a foreign key or
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Now, for this case, in this case, what you'll be doing is that where is it? I think it's here. Now, associated menu here would be an empty array. Why is it? What did I click? So the associated menu will be either an empty array. That when you are creating menus, you should be telling which restaurant is actually creating that menu. So if the restaurant creating that menu sends you the restaurant ID, you find that restaurant by the ID. Then take the menu you created, take the ID and push it to the restaurant associated menu, because that will be an empty array. The first time you create it, it will be an empty array. Why is it taking time? What's going on? Yeah, so the first time you are going to be creating this will be an empty array. But when you create the menus, they should also be sending you the restaurant ID. Now, what you do with the restaurant ID is to find that restaurant, then take the ID of this menu you created and push it into this associated menu for that particular restaurant. Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward. You should be able to figure that out. That's why you're a backend developer. It's actually an individual project, but there is no harm in asking questions. Now, I don't want a situation where somebody will build the project alone and then you just copy everything that the person built and you submit it. Now, in that case, I will record it for you, but it is not me that you're actually doing. You're doing it to yourself. Like I said, there are a lot of persons who know, they have an idea of what project. I know so many persons, they will even tell you the procedures involved in creating a backend project, but give them the project to build. They cannot build it. They can sit down in an interview, they will talk BB grammars and everything, but they can't actually start writing the code. So it's actually an individual project, but you can ask questions, you can have discussions with the persons you're working with, but I don't want a case where you copy everybody's work, because I'm going to be reviewing individually. So if your schema, and I have a retentive memory. So if I see something in your project, I will know whether I've seen it before, and I will know where I've seen it also. All right, so that being said, let's move over to what we have for today. Now, we are going to be continuing with our project. For our project, we've been able to register the users. We've also been able to log in the users, generate their tokens, and return that token to the front end. Now, what we want to do today, if time permits us, we are supposed to validate every token. Now, the thing is this: if you are not validating token, anybody can sign any token and send it back to you. Or maybe easy to access your front end, browsing your details. But if you're using token, that may be very, very difficult to do. So what I will do, I will start with npm start. To start my project, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. Now, this is not your former class settings where you have to obey all the rules. No, we are done. Today or tomorrow will be like our last formal class session. So now we are working on projects. If in the middle of the class you remember something, just drop it. If it's not related to what I'm working on, I will still answer it like you. So feel free to ask questions. And I want to believe what I'm doing now, you have already seen it before, which is why I'm giving you the project to work on. So we have this. This is the fund wallet, which now for those who are going to be working with Paystack, if you give us API keys, I might look for API key. I will try and look for API key. That is if I remember, I'll look for API key. But if I don't, you can also create a Paystack account. So I will show you that you need to first perform the transaction before you call this endpoint to fund the wallet, like this. Required, whatever you call it is the same thing. But I prefer you call it required. I mean, is it required or required? It's required now. But whatever you call it, because I know I've actually called it required before, and it doesn't really change anything. So whether you call it required, now the thing is this: if I put required, it should give you what is available to you. So what is available to you here is actually required. So not required, but I know that required also works. So like I said, if you have a question, you can drop it here. Now let's go ahead to review what we've done and see how to validate the token that is created. So where's the login? Okay, it's not this one. All right, we created a new project that day. All right. We created auth. Yeah, we created auth. So, but in your project, all your schemas will be together, whether you're creating 5 schemas or 6 schemas, they're all the same thing. Are you kidding me? See why? This thing is joking with me. Oh. Do I have auth here? No, I don't. Are you serious now? So I can't actually drag. You guys be kidding me. You know what? And I don't have open with. You really? You can't be kidding me. Okay, let me see if it's possible to get this thing. Um, sorry. NPM start. So this period of September, October, November, December is a period for tech jobs. There will be a lot of jobs available, a lot of jobs. Now, you're already working on a project. That doesn't mean you are not job ready. And when it's only when you say you are not job ready, that is when you are not job ready. So, but I believe that anybody who understands the project I've given to you, any of the projects, why I think my network is bad now. Why is it saying connecting? Okay, we're back. Let me see. Network is bad. Can anyone hear me? You can unmute your mic. So I know that you can hear me. I think my network is bad.
Okay, I just started hearing you, but for some time, I think the last 5 minutes, I couldn't hear you. Did you hear me, sir? I think you are speaking, but I can't hear you. I don't know if anyone else can hear you.
I muted my mic. I think so. But yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I think my network.
All right, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, but I'm not getting a feedback from my Telegram, so that is why I decided to stop. But because there's no way to tell if you can hear me, so we are going to continue. The first thing we want to do is review what we have done. So what we have here, what happens is that we accept the email and we accept the password from the user. I don't like this idea of not getting feedback because it's going to because I need to know when I am actually communicating and not to repeat the whole thing again. Why? How come that I can hear but I can't get messages?
So I actually have a question.
Maybe you will start your Telegram, sir.
Okay. I will just go ahead. If at any point you can't hear me, please unmute your mic and let me know that you cannot hear me. So, but I'll just go ahead. Okay, before I continue, can anybody hear me? Just unmute your mic. Can anybody hear me? Cost rep, can you hear me? They can't.
Yes. I can hear.
All right. If you can hear me now, please drop a thumbs up so that I can continue. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I just hope that network will allow us. So we are supposed to go through what we have and then see how to validate the token, send users an email, and then deploy this backend to the cloud. Now, these are the three things that we know we are supposed to do before we say we are done. So the first thing is to validate the token that we have generated. Now, before we validate, we want to see how we are able to generate that token. All right, so I will share my screen now. Sorry about that. All right. So the first thing, all right. The first thing here is that in our login API, we are accepting the email and the password, and then we try to find the user that owns that email. If you don't find the user, you return user account not found. Now, but if you find the user, you proceed to next. The next thing you want to do is to check if their password match. My internet is okay. So you want to see whether the password they are sending and the one that is already on the database, if the two passwords match. If they don't match, you return either incorrect password or email or any other message you deem necessary. So here we are generating tokens, the access token and the refresh token. So we are signing all the user details, and we have a secret key in our process environment to sign both the access token and the refresh token. Yes, I'm recording. Yes, I am. So you are signing both the access token with your secret keys, and you are setting the expiry time to be 5 minutes. Now you can update this if you want. And then the next thing you want to do is to return. Now, I don't know why we are returning OTP, but I'll remove it. I think somewhere we are generating OTP. Where is that? So we are returning the access token and this user. Now I just hope that I remember the login details I used to log in one time like that. When I was logging in, Control Z. All right, so let me try logging in. Now this didn't log in because here now it says MongoDB is not connected, and I think that was when I had that network issue. So I will run it again to see whether MongoDB will connect. So I think my network is bad, but why would it be bad now? And there are issues. You get this router, you get the other one, still not working. So my MongoDB is finding it difficult to connect. I want to confirm that my .env file, I didn't tamper with the URL. Okay, the URL is fine. Now it says it's throwing error, could not connect to any servers or your MongoDB. Reason is that you're trying to access the database from an IP that isn't whitelisted. Make sure your IP address is whitelisted. So I'm going to try my MongoDB again. I think this is the network. Yeah, it's for network problem. Let's see that Mongo. I think it's error. See, this code. This is my email and password. Did I tamper? What is this? I did not. It's timed out. I think my network is also very timed out. I see it's not even able to open MongoDB. So I think my network is bad. But there's no way to teach that without a stable internet. I show my Telegram is also down. Today my village people remember that I'm still alive. So they are still checking. I need my uncle in the tell him it's not more no. Uncle, is that about Can you imagine? I can't even open. All right. I think I am live, but I want to see. Let me see if my MongoDB is going to connect. So that's the main issue here now. Yeah, MongoDB is connected. So I will try logging in again with these details. Please add email and password. So it means that I didn't. Yeah, let me do this. Okay, so I am able to log in here. Now, the goal is that we want to be able to know who this user is with this token. So from this token, we want to know who the user is. Yeah, but that got array is not, it's something else. So I want to believe we understand the goal. The goal is that when users log in and you send them a token, they will be sending you back this token every single time. So your job is to find out who the user is from this token, so that if, for example, anybody send you a random token, you will know that it is not your token. If they add a malware or add any information that is not needed in the token, you will also know. So that is where we are, and that is what we want to do. So I will build a middleware because for that you need a middleware. I'll build a middleware in here. Maybe I can add it together with, no, I'm not adding it here. I'll just create a new middleware and I'll call it validate auth.js. Please bear with me. I understand that the network is bad, but if you are working as a developer, you don't give up. As a developer, you don't give up. Whether it's network, whether it's client, whether it's the company, you don't give up. Now, one thing my mother taught me when I was still staying with my mom, she said, promise me that the day you are going for this job, a particular job, that you're not going to quit the job. You're not leaving that job except they push you out. Except they push you out, like they push you outside. And I think I used that that advice. I used it one day on Access Bank. No, not Access Bank, Echo Bank. My dad sent me to withdraw money for him, and I told them I'm not leaving here until I withdraw this money. As a matter of fact, my dad is on his way, so you can't close your bank until he comes in. My dad got to the bank, and they say, no, we are going to call the police to arrest you. The bank is closing now. Go outside. I say, no, open the bank. My father is standing outside. I need to withdraw money. So as a developer, you don't give up, no matter what it is, except they push you out. Whether it's network, you continue. Whether it's the weather, is hot, is cold, is your HR, whatever it is, you don't give up. So let's continue. I will write a function here and I'll call it validate token. Now you can call your function whatever you want, and I will make it async. So this is a middleware. Because it's a middleware, it doesn't just accept the request and the response. It also accepts the next function. Because it is a middleware. Now it is not an API. You don't see the API, the endpoint here. So it is only a middleware that accepts next, like this. So what do you want to do? The first thing is to accept their token. So you create a variable for the token. Now that token is going to be coming from the request dot params, or no, the request headers. In the head of the request. Now, when you talk about token, if a user is supposed to send you a token, now this is my Postman. I want to show you where you'll be adding the token, or where the user will be adding their token, or maybe where the front end will be adding their token. The first thing is, in this authorization, they will click on authorization here, and then they will choose the type of authorization. This is the type of authorization you'll be asking them. Now, most times the front end doesn't know anything. Not like they don't know anything. They don't know what to do. Most of these front end developers are usually beginners. So as a backend, it's your job to tell them what you need and how you need it. So if you are working with token, tell them to send you token as a bearer token. That is in case the front end doesn't know what to do. There are so many types of tokens, but you are asking for bearer token. They can either add it here, or they come to the head of the authorization, that is the headers. And then here, the key will be called authorization. Let me make this bigger. The key here will be called authorization, and the value will become the token, like this. So they are sending you authorization. Now, this token here, you will call this, one will be the bearer, and then this will be your token, random token. This is how they send the token. So a bearer token is a token that the first keyword is bearer. Then there will be a space before the token, like that. The bearer is a keyword, and then token is here. Now, I want to show you how it is in my, where will it be? Where will I find it? Where will I find it? I can open a project. Let me open a project. Now, this is a project I'm currently working on. It's a small project, but it's actually complicated. So here, this here is actually, I'm working with Flutterwave API, and Flutterwave API is asking me to send a bearer token. So here now, the keyword here is bearer, then there is a space here, and then here is going to be my test key, which is my token actually. So when you are asking the front end, tell them to send the authorization as a bearer token. That is what you are expecting from them. On that note, I want to close my code. Bye-bye. So they'll be sending you a bearer token. And that bearer token, you can either add it like this, bearer and the token, or you come back. Sorry. I've actually opened this way much. Or you come back to the authorization and select bearer token. Now, this is the token down here. So how do you, as a backend, work with this token? I'll close this. How do you work with this token? That is what we want to talk about here. So you are taking the token from the request headers and the key. You know what? Let's actually console log this. So what I will do is I will console log the token. Let's go small, console log the token. Or you know what? Return the token. What should I do? Knowing too many things and not knowing which one to do. Let's console log it. CLG token. The request headers. We want to console log the request headers. And this is going to be validated on an endpoint. I will create a route for it. The route, where's my route? I don't have a route. So I will come here. App.post. And I want to call this / what will I call it? Auth, comma, and then paste this one here. So I need to export this before I'm able to use it anywhere. Module.export is equal to validate token. Or you know what? Just export it as default. Module.export validate token. And save that. So I want to import it here. Then down here, I will just put an empty function that is not doing anything for now. So my function here is not doing anything. I want to be able to get these tokens and to be able to validate it. The bearer token is a type of token that they attach a keyword bearer to it. That's just what it means. So when they are sending you the token, they are attaching bearer to it. You are not the one doing it. You as a backend, you're not the one doing it. It is the front end that is doing it. So most time the front end doesn't know how to send you the token. You tell them, send me the token as a bearer token, a token that has a keyword bearer attached to it. So, but that is what we want to show you now. I want to show you that. Where is this login? Is here. So I'll create another post request. And it's not going to be called login, it's going to be called auth here. And if I send it, it's crashing. Why? Because my port is port 8081. Yes. The endpoint is supposed to be auth. So why did it crash? Let me confirm. I haven't saved this. So I need to save this and run it again. So I'll run this again. Send is also crashing. Why? Because this is /auth validate token. This is validate token. Now, it's actually not entering that endpoint. It's not entering that endpoint. Why? App.post is a post request, validate token, and auth. So app.post. Whoa, I'm not getting the endpoint. Something is wrong. So I need to find out why my request is not entering this endpoint, auth. If you know why, you can also help me, because the more I look, the less I see. Let me add the request and the response and save it. Okay. Then try this again. It's also crashing. Localhost is this. I will end the server and start it again. Server is running on port 8081. MongoDB is connected. And if I send this request, yeah, now it is, but it crashed. Okay, now it did not crash. It's actually console logging the token for us, the whole thing. Yeah, it's actually console logging the whole token. Now, at this point here, we are not adding any bearer token. We are not. So what I will do is, because I've been able to log in and I got this token, I will copy this token and add it as a bearer token. So I will come down here. Make sure you are copying the whole. Now, for test reasons, you make sure you are copying the whole token, but you will not be the one sending it. So I'm copying the whole token. Now come back to this request. Go to my params, choose authorization, and the type of authorization is the bearer token. I click on bearer token and I'll paste the token here. Inside this token, I'll paste it here. And then cancel this request and send it again. So on sending it again, now you see I am getting the authorization here, and the keyword bearer comes in here before the token. So you see, this is why it is called the bearer token, because there's a keyword bearer before the token, and then there is a space between the two of them. So how do you get this token, this authorization from this token? So what you can do is say headers dot authorization. Then save it. I'll cancel this and send it again. No, I need to actually cancel the server. Control C and run it again. But why do I need to? I have and then send. So the token is undefined because of the keyword I used. The better way to do this is to use like this to get the key authorization from it. So I want to know why, if I save this, it doesn't restart. Oh, I did npm start. No wonder. The more you look, the less you see. I'm supposed to do npm dev. npm run dev. Please bear with me. I've been moving from one project to another, so I can't remember most things I've done for almost 1 week. All right, so if I make changes here and save it, yeah, it's restarting now. Great. So I will send this request again, and it crashed. The reason why it crashed is because request.headers is not a function. So it's not headers, it's actually header. No S, it's actually header, not headers. So the head of the request. So I'll send this again. Now I am getting the token, and the token is the bearer and the token. So this is how you add a token when you want to test it. You click on authorization, you select the authorization to be the bearer token, and then you paste the token here. So now that we have that, we don't want to validate everything here. We only want this part. So what we will do is split this string. This is a string. We split it where you have space. Wherever you have space, you want to split it. So what I will do is I will rename this to TK, and then say the next one is going to be my token. Const token is equal to tk.split. Split it where you have space. So that is what I'm saying. Now I want to console log the token. Save it. If I run this again, I'm getting, now this is an array now. You have the first one, the first item is the bearer, the second item is only the token. So what I will do is I want to take the second item from here. Now this is at position 0, while this is at position 1. So how do I do that? So I don't want to use the name TK, I'll say TKK, and then come down here and say CLG, no, not CLG, const token is now equal to TKK1. So the first one inside this array, and if I save it and run this again, now you see I have only a string and only the token. Only a string and only the token. Now what do I want to do next? I want to verify the token. So what I will say const decoded. Now decoded is just my own word. You can call yours anything. Decoded, I will be using JWT, JSON Web Token. I don't want to do this. What I will say is JWT from JSON Web Token, JWT dot verify. So I want JWT to come and verify this token, which is this token. And also I want to get the token I use to sign it in my process.env, and it is called access token. I think so. Access, let me find the key. The key is called access token. So what I'm doing here, if I want to, the first step is I want to pick whatever was sent in the authorization. So whatever was sent as the authorization in the head of the request, I want to pick it and save it inside this variable called TK. So the next thing I want to do is take whatever is here and split it where there is space, because the first time it is coming with the bearer and the token, and there is a space here. So I am splitting it where there is space. When it splits, this one will be the first one, this one will be the second one, which is exactly what we have here. The first one and the second one. Now I want to pick this second one, which is then I say TK dot the one at index 1 should be my token. Now take that token, call JWT to verify that token, whether it was signed with a token in my process, inside my processor.env. So if I save this, now const decoded is going to tell me what has been decoded. Now you don't have to call it decoded, you can call it anything, but you don't have to call it decoded. And the reason why I'm doing all of this line by line is so that you know which step we are currently working on. So if I send this request again, now my code crashed because it says JWT expired. So it means that the token has already expired. And that is because we set it to expire in 5 minutes. So the token we are using has expired. That is what we are getting here now. The token is expired. And the reason why our server is crashing is because I am not using try catch. That is the reason why the server crashed. Otherwise, the server is not supposed to crash. It's supposed to tell me that the token has expired. So what I would do is I will change this to try catch. Try catch the error and return, instead of crashing, return res.status. Please always use try catch for all of your functions. If you don't want your server to be crashing, always use function error.message. Always use try catch. That way your functions will not be crashing. Please. I think somebody asked that question. Why is it not? So put everything in the try catch. And then save this function. MongoDB is connecting. Oh, MongoDB is not connecting. No. MongoDB is not connecting. No. What did I do to? Yeah, MongoDB is connected. So if I send this request again, now instead of crashing, you see my server did not crash, but it returned JWT expired. And like I said, the reason why it expired is because when we were generating this token, where is that? In my, I think, where is it? Yeah, here we are setting that it expires in 5 minutes. So 5 minutes is too small for when 5 minutes is too small for when we are going to be using it for learning. So learning purposes, sometimes you can encounter error. And before you finish solving that error, maybe 5 minutes has passed. So you don't want to use 5 minutes when you are working. You want to either set it to any minute that is more than that, maybe 30 minutes. I'll try 30 minutes. So that means I will need to log in again and get a new token and then pass in that new token. So I will come back here, log in again. Now I'm logged in. I will need to copy this token, and then pass it in as the new bearer token. So I will remove this one, it's gone, and paste the new token. So if I send this request now it's not expired. It is now telling me the details I used to sign that user and the date. This is the date that I signed it. So it is telling me I signed that token for David Sampson, and this is his email, and this is now the reason why all of this information is coming out is because when we were signing it, we passed in all of the user information. So like I said, if you are passing in a token, you need to decide which key or which item do you want to sign it with, either with the ID or the ID and email or anything you want. So it's not compulsory that you must use all the user details. Sometimes the user details can be so large, it can be very, very long. Unlike here, we have just three items: the first name, last name, and email, and then password. So that being done, The next thing you want to do for the sake of security, now just because you see that this user is coming out like this, that doesn't guarantee that this person should be given access automatically. No, anybody can actually guess a name and guess email, guess password, put them together, sign them in a token and send. And also somehow your JWT may be, now I know that's not possible, but your JWT may be able to decode it and then tell who is there, but it doesn't happen because except they are using this token that you use to sign it, they can't use any other thing. So, but even at that, an extra level of security is when you see the details of this user, you want to still go ahead and find the user again to be very sure. To be very sure that that user actually has an account. So you say const user is equal to await users from the user model dot find one. Now you can either choose to find them with their email, which is what we have here, or you can either use to find them with their ID. I want to believe you know how to find with email, so I will use ID to find it. That will mean I will say find one by underscore ID like this. So here it is underscore ID, and MongoDB actually uses underscore ID. Or you can say find by ID. No, just keep it like this and then save it. Then you want to console log this user. Now this is, you're doing this for extra level of security. Just because I see the token is not enough. Just because I decode the token is not enough. I need to actually find you on the database and be very sure that you have an account with us. So you say ID is not defined, and that is because ID is supposed to be here. So we say find it by decoded dot underscore ID. Yeah, the ID. Wait. Is it ID? No, it's actually decoded dot user dot underscore ID. So we'll say decoded dot user dot underscore ID because that is the way it is here. It's coming from decoded and then the user before the underscore ID. So I'll save this and then run this request again. Send. Now it has found the user on our database. Now we are very sure that this person is not a hacker. This person is not a 419. This person actually created an account with us. So now that it has created an account with us, we want to say, you know what? Now, but before you do that, you want to send a message here. There are so many messages you want to send. The first message is here. If you don't find this token, I'm beginning to forget validations. If you don't find this token, you want to return a response. Response, say return keyword, response dot status. Here you want to use something like 401 as your status to tell them their authorization is not correct. JSON, and the message here should be something like access denied or anything like a message that tells them that you're not permitted to log in. So you say access denied. So if you're not able to find the decoder, that means if you're not able to decode it, you can say if not decoded, you pass in another message, return a response or status. Now you also want to use 401 here because it has to do with the authorization, and pass in a message that will say something like maybe invalid login details or unauthorized access. Let's say invalid login details, like that, because you are not able to decode that token. If you're not able to decode that token, and also if you don't find the user on your database, that's in when you try to do the second search and you don't find the user, you want to also return a response or status. Also use 404 here. The JSON message that will say this user or user account not found. User account not found. Like this. So these are validations to make sure that if they are not sending you the token in the authorization, you want to tell them that access is denied. You deny them access, you return immediately, deny access. Then when you see this TK, now you can call this anything. It doesn't have to be called TK. I don't have a perfect word for it right now. Yes, Wisdom. You are not the one generating it, but from what we have in our API here, every single time the user hits this endpoint, a token will be generated. Every single time they hit this endpoint, a token will be generated. And this happens automatically. That is why you are writing API. So you can be sleeping and token will be generated. There's none of your, you're not going to be there to check anything. Like I was saying, you can call it anything. It doesn't have to be called TK and doesn't have to be called TKK. It's just me that doesn't have the perfect word to use here. So when you find the user, what you want to do is say attached request.user is equal to the user you found. Now, if it is the admin that was trying to log in, or if it's anybody that is trying to log in, so you want to check their role. So you want to check user.role, whether it's equal to user, or maybe admin, or maybe moderator, or maybe anything. So if it is admin, you say request.admin is equal to this user you found here. If it's the moderator, request.moderator is equal to this user you found here. If it is whatever it is, depending on the role you are assigning, you say the role of this person is equal to this user that I found here, depending on who is trying to log in. But now, because it's a user, I'll say request.user is equal to this user logging in here. And if I save this and send this response, this request again, now I see that it's hanging. Now, because it's hanging, that's a good thing. So my server is not crashing and it's hanging. So it means that I'm actually getting the user. So what I want to do is to send this function or this request on its way by calling next here. So you only call next inside a middleware, because a middleware, like I said, is like a policeman. It will pack the request, ask for details, do one or two things before sending it on its way. So now we are attaching the user to the request. That's what we're doing here. So this is more like saying if you want to enter into a company, you stop at the gate. The security is going to search you. When they search you, they are going to search your boot. When they are okay with everything, they will give you a tag and say, take this tag and enter inside. So anybody there that sees that tag, we know who you are, whether you're a visitor or whether you are doing something else. By that tag, they will know. So that is what we are doing here. We are adding a tag to the request. The tag we are adding is we are adding the user to the request, meaning that in addition to the request body and the request params, now we have a request user. So the user who is making this request. So before the request will reach our API, we already know who is making that request. That is the main reason for this validate function. So this is how to validate API. Now to confirm that we already validated this, what I will do is I will come to this API here, and say, you know what? I want to console log the request user. The same way we console log the request body, I want to console log the request user. Now at this place, we are not checking for who the user is. We've already done that in our token. So if we succeeded in attaching that user to the token, to the request here, we are going to see it in the API. So before the request reaches the API, we already know who the user is. So what I would do is I'm console logging it here. Or you know what? I don't need to console log it. I think I can return a response here. Let me just return it as a response. Res dot status 200 and then a JSON message, a message that will say successful or success, and then pass in the user. No, not the user, the request.user rather. Request.user. Say the user is equal to the request.user, like this. Yeah, so the user is now the request.user. If this returns the user, it means that we actually did a good job. Why is MongoDB taking time? Yeah, MongoDB is connected. You send this request, and now we have a user. So this is what validating or validation is. I'll go through it again. The first thing is to try and get what is sent in the request header as the authorization. Whatever they sent to you as the authorization, you get it. Now, if they sent nothing in the authorization, you return a response that says access denied. You must to send an authorization. So when they send you authorization, because it is coming as a bearer token, there will be a keyword called bearer attached to it and a token. The two of them will be separated by space. So you want to split that by space. If you split it by spaces, you have two items, the keyword bearer and your token. Now the bearer will be at position 0 and your token will be at position 1. Now that is why we are picking the one at position 1, which is our token. We save it as the token. And then we try to verify whether that token was signed by our own access token. If it was signed, then save it here as decoded. If it wasn't signed by us, it's going to be returned as empty. So if it is not this, you say invalid login details. Now, if you are not able to decode it, you say invalid login details. But when you decode it, that is not enough. Just decoding it is not enough. This is not an array. This is bracket, like this. Okay, the video. Now, the video and the audio shouldn't be a problem. At this point, I want to believe that if I send you code, you can look at the code and you understand what is going on. That is the most important thing. Now, the only thing I've done here is to work on this validate function. So, if we are looking at this validate function, we should be able to tell what is going on in this validate function. We'll pick the authorization that is sent in the header of the request and save it as TK. If no authorization was sent, tell them access denied. But if authorization was sent, you split the authorization, split the token, and split the bearer. The two of them will now be in one array.
Can I ask you a question now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sir. The token that we are receiving is coming from the bearer token. You say it's coming from the front end.
Yes. The front end can be mobile or website.
Then how about the token we generated initially? Our initial access token that we generated.
Okay, let me explain. Now, when you are working on a project, you are going to build so many APIs. Some of these APIs are supposed to be secret APIs, only allowed for registered users. For example, to fund wallet, it is only registered users that are allowed to fund their wallet. So you first build a register token for users to register API for users to register. Then you build another API for users to log in. Whenever they log in, you are going to be sending back an access token. That is the end of that request. The request is that they want to log in. When they send you data, you send them back access token. That is the end of that request. When they want to do anything else, maybe to fund their wallet, maybe to create anything, they want to submit an exam, they want to create a recipe, the whole of your project, the second part of it, that's what we're talking about now, not the authorization now. The second part, they want to create CRUD for anything else. Maybe, what is it called? There are so many projects I gave now. You want to donate to a cause. You need to log in. Now, if you log in, the front-end developer is not going to be sending us your email and password again the second time. No. That was done the first time, which was used to generate that access token for you. Whenever you want to do anything else, you should be sending us that access token, not your email and password again. Your email and password is sent to us the first time you are trying to log in. After you log in, the request to fund wallet, the request to create recipe, the request to update recipe, the request to create fitness workout session, to create what's the other one, food delivery, to create anything, that request should be accompanied with or by the access token. So they should be sending the access token. I showed you an example of what I have here. Now, this is a project, it's a live project. Although I'm updating now because of something else. Now, whatever you are going to be doing in any of these APIs to get billers, to do anything, purchase billers, any of them, whatever you are doing, you should be accompanying it with the token Flutterwave generated for you. So there's going to be a live token and there's going to be a test token. So whatever it is, at least you are sending a token, but they call it secret key. So you can call your secret key also, but we call it token. So it should be accompanied with this token for every other single request. Now, the first request is going to be the login. Now, after you make that login request to do any other thing, you, the user, you will not know. As a user, you will not know what's going on because you just typed in your email and password and you logged in. While you are there on your dashboard, you can choose to do anything else. You just see the spinner spinning around, seeing that it's doing something. You don't know what's going on. But the front-end developer and the back-end developer are supposed to know. So apart from the user register and the user login, and what else? The logout, for example, the logout or forgot password, every other API you create, you need to validate their token. They must send you token. And that is what we call protected routes. So when you hear protected route, now I'm going to explain what this route means when we talk about MVC. But when you hear protected routes are those APIs that whenever you are calling them, you must be sending your access token because they are protected. For example, to fund wallet or fund account balance or donate money or to create recipe or to deliver food or order for food or anything else. Apart from the authentication and authorization, every other API will ask you for a token. That is why they are called protected routes. So you must be validating token for every other API you create. And that is why I create it as a middleware function. So you are going to be importing it into other functions you create. So if you create app.post and /fund wallet, once you are funding wallet, you call the validate token here. They must be sending you token. Now, if it is another request to maybe get account balance, you want to view the user's account balance, you want to know what you need to validate token. Maybe you want to transfer money, you want to withdraw, You also validate token. Now, all of these routes are protected because not anyhow or anybody can make requests to them. It needs to be somebody that we have verified that this person is a registered user. So that is why the token you send to them, you are sending it for login. They will be sending you back that token every single time they are making requests to your API. They will be sending you the same token. If the token expires, they will need to log in again, or the front-end developer will use the refresh token, send it to you again. You generate a new access token for them. So they keep sending, they keep using that token until that token expires. So Wisdom, does it make sense? Any question so far?
Actually, sir, can I just walk through a bit?
Well,
I just want to get proper understanding. Yeah, I want to get proper understanding. So on the first part where the user login
of what?
Where the user login the first time
Yes.
into the platform. Now the token, is it the one we generated or the one generated by the front end? At that first login, who is generating that first token? The back end.
Okay, let's use a real website to check out this. So I'm going to open. Let me see. This is a simple website. It's called School Axis. If you can see my screen, let me know. Just drop a thumbs up that you can see my. Oh, I just put my network will not be bad. So this is a website. It can either be a mobile app. It can be anything like this. My network is still taking time. I'm trying to log in before I use this site. Now I can browse the home page, but whatever I'm browsing, I need to log into my dashboard before I can do anything else. So I will click on here. It's still loading. I want to demo it with a real life sense because as a user, you will not know what is going on. It is the developers that know what is going on. So now I want to log into my dashboard. I will enter my email and enter a password like this. I've entered my password. So this thing I'm doing here now, I will be sending as a front-end developer. The front-end developer will be sending this email and this password to your login API, to this one, because this is accepting what? Email and password. So that is what is going on here now. The front-end developer will take this email and take this password. Now it's telling you that somebody is trying to log in, and this is the details that this person sent to us. Nobody's dropping a thumbs up. Is it that you cannot hear me? Wisdom, can you hear me?
Sir, I can hear you, sir.
I hear you.
Can anyone hear me? Just drop a thumbs up so I know that you can hear me.
I hear you, sir.
All right.
So,
all right. So this here, I'm trying to log in. The user doesn't know what's going on. All right. Like I said, here, the user doesn't. Just give me a minute. Let me see if I can. All right. I was thinking switching is going to make it better, but it's not. So like I said, I'm trying to log in here to my dashboard, and I'm required to enter my email and password. The front-end developer will take these two details and send it to the backend first. While it is sending it, what the front-end will do is to be throwing up a spinner here. Something will be rolling here, telling the user to wait. So when you click this button, this website will throw up a spinner that will be rolling. And that spinner is telling the user to wait. Now, the reason why the user is waiting for the back end. So the back end is going to accept that email and password, find the user. Now, if you don't find the user, you will return a message. So it means that the front end will be waiting for the message that you return. So if you return no user account found, the front end will show the user that no account found. If you return incorrect password, the front end will show the user incorrect password. But if you generate this access token here and send it, the front end is going to log in the user the moment it sees that access token. So this is loading now because the backend is doing something. Although my network is slow, that is why it's taking time. But the backend is actually doing something, trying to verify my account and trying to generate a token for me before sending back a response. Now, if I send in an email that is incorrect, it will throw up a message that that email is incorrect. If I enter a password that is incorrect, it will throw up a message that that password is not correct. So, but let's see if network will allow me to log in. I am trying to log in. It's actually taking longer than expected. But the goal here now is, this is the first time I'm logging in. And I'm only going to be permitted to log in when the backend responds with an access token. Now it says network error. So something went wrong with my network. So, but I will try again the second time to see whether it's going to allow me. So anything that happens on the back end, instead of the back end to crash, it will send me a response and I will know what is going on the back end. So the goal here is that the front Oh my. Sorry. But at least you understood what happened. So let me try it again. Like I said the last time, I will try and do something here. This front end, if I send this, it will be loading. This loading here is telling the front end to wait, telling the user to wait, that the backend is doing something. What is the backend doing? The backend is picking this email and says invalid email or password, which is what the backend will do. So the backend is going to pick the email and password, find me, or then compare my password. So this is where that error is coming from. But it's only you and I that know what that error is. So here it's saying incorrect, but this one it is saying invalid. So if I send it again, the same password, if you send wrong details, it's going to return a message. So invalid email or password. So, but we know that it's actually the password that is incorrect. So, but if I enter the right password and then send, if the backend generates a token, then it will allow me to enter the dashboard. I am only allowed into this dashboard only when the backend has sent an access token. If it doesn't send an access token, they will not allow me to come to this dashboard. Now that it has sent an access token, I can see the dashboard. If I try to fill out application, or programs or SASP or consulting services or do anything here, I must be the front end. Now, it's not the user that will do it this time. The front end must be sending that token back. So it is only that token that the front end and the back end will be using to communicate and know that this is the user that is making this request. This is the user that is making this request. So the front end will tell you, dear back end, this is the user making the request. The back end will say, okay, if it is this user that is making this request, then show this user this, show him that. Their account has been updated, their account has been deleted, whatever it is. Because of that token, because you signed that token with the user details. So let's say I try to click on consulting services. I want to consult for a service. Now it is fetching the services. But before the services will arrive, it is going to validate that token and then see, okay, that token is correct. The same person is still here. So you want to click to book this. So any request you are making that is inside this dashboard, any request you are making that is inside this dashboard, any API you build for this dashboard, it needs that access token. And the access token we're talking about is the same access token you generated the first time that user tried to log in into the dashboard. So I don't know, does that make sense, Wisdom? So any other API must be validating the token. Yeah, go ahead. Any other question? You said what?
I got you clearly now.
All right. So that's one part. If you have any question, you ask your question. But if there is no question and you want us to continue, please drop a thumbs up so that we continue to the next thing. Please drop a thumbs up so that we continue to the next thing. Please drop a thumbs up so that we continue to the next. Nobody's dropping thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. All right. The next thing we want to do is how to send users emails from our back end. Now, it is not the front end that will be sending email. It's the back end that will be sending emails. So how do we send emails? Now, I like keeping things separately. So we have a file here called send email. This is what this file is called. But we need a package. So the package we need is called node mailer. npm I node mailer. Like this. Node mailer is a package we use in sending emails in Node.js. So if you're going to be sending email to users, you need to install node mailer. So I'm going to install node mailer, npm I node mailer, hit enter, and then click on my package.json to be very sure that I installed. Okay, I have errors. That error is a permission operating system. So I'll say sudo npm I node mailer. I'm working on Alt, hit enter, password, and then install. So I need to see node mailer here before I know that it has installed. So now I have node mailer here. So with node mailer, you can send different type of emails. You can send emails that with no responder. That's what most company wants. Like you send an email that they will tell you no reply needed. So what I'll do, I'll bring in node mailer here. I'll say const node mailer is equal to require node mailer. Sorry. Node mailer. I thought I installed node mailer now. Require node mailer. Yeah. I'm just bringing it in. So there are different ways to send emails. If you want to send just normal emails, you can send that with Gmail. With your normal Gmail, you can send normal emails. But if you are going to be sending a company email, like newsletters, all those emails that they will say no reply needed, no reply needed, you can use something with Node Mailer, but you'll be using Zoho. It's not Gmail again. You either use Zoho or G Suite or SendGrid, any of those ones. There's also emails that you can respond to. For example, info@accessbank.com. You can respond to that email. You can also use Zoho to send that. You can also use what is it called? SendGrid. You can also use G Suite to do that. But for now, we both know that we don't have that Zoho account. Now, Zoho account is not expensive. Any company can afford it. SendGrid account, G Suite, Microsoft, they are not expensive. Any company can accept that. The reason why you do that is because you want to get something like this: info shift@youththrive.com. So the most important thing is you wanted to get a domain name. So, but what we are doing now, can any other person hear me? Can you hear me? Joshua
Yes.
cannot hear me. All right. Thank you. So, like I said, the Zoho, which is let me just show you. This is Zoho, SendGrid, G Suite, Microsoft 360. All these ones, you can use them if you want to send an email with a domain name like this. But they are all using the same format. But the one I want to show you now is to send with Gmail. But let's create the format. The format is this. The first one is the details, the login details. That's the first format. The second format here is the details you want to send. So for Gmail, it is free. If you want to send emails with Gmail, it is free. But if you are going to be sending with Zoho, SendGrid, G Suite, Microsoft 360, they are paid. They are not free. But you can actually, they are for subsidized rates, cheaper like that. So we want to create the format with which you send emails. Send details to send. And then the next thing is send. Sorry. So there are 3 steps in sending emails. The first step is the login details. That is the email and the password you want to use. The service, the email, and the password. So what I'll put is, I'll say, the first one is the service. So, but before you do that, you will say const mail transporter or mail transport, anyone. Mail transporter or mail transport is a variable. So you can either call it mail transporter or mail transport, or call it anything you want to call it. We're just creating a variable that is going to, we are telling it that this is what we want to use to send it. So I say node mailer.create a transport, and inside the transport, I want to pass in the service, the email, and the password I want to use. So the service I want to use, whatever it is, for now I'm using Gmail. But if you're using Zoho, you change it to Zoho. Whatever you are using, you change it to that. But for now, we're using email. The next thing you want to pass in is the auth. So the auth here, you pass in the email you are using, and then pass in the password of that email. Like this. By this, you've created your authorization, the login details. So for Zoho, if you are using an email like this, you also be creating that password here. You enter that password. For SendGrid, any of this, it is the So like I said, for all these other emails, the password you enter here is the email to that password. But for Gmail, something like David Samson.ud@gmail.com. You will not enter password of this email here. Gmail doesn't allow that. You need to create a password inside your Gmail account. And how do you do that? I'll go to my Gmail. Let me go to my account.google.com. So go to account.google.com. This email, this password I want to create now is for, I want to give Gmail authorization to use this email and send emails to anybody. So I will switch to my main email. Here you want to create an account. What you want to search for is called app password or in-app password, anyone. Yeah, app password. I think, is it called app password or in-app password? Let's see. In-app. Why am I writing the wrong thing? I think it's called, now I don't know if, but the first thing you want to do is come to security. I just want to find it the first way. So make sure you set up, what's it called? Two-factor authentication or two-factor verification, two-step, whatever they call it at the time you are going to do that. You call it the app. What I'm looking for is called app in-app password, something like that. And I normally search for it, but it's not called this thing. Let me just type app password and check if it's called the app password. Oh, I have to enter my password. Oh, do I remember my password? Let me try. I just hope that I remember this password. Okay, so it is called app password. It's called app password. So if you want to be sending emails with Gmail, it is not going to be your Gmail password, but you need to come to your Gmail account and create an app password. This password is going to boycott any authentication, any authorization, anything at all. This will just go smoothly and directly. So I will call this U-Tribe as the name and then say create a password for me. Now it has created a password. This is the password you will be using. This is the password you will use. So this is my password. You get it only once. You're not going to see this again. If I close, you won't see this again. So you copy it. You copy it and come down here and paste it as your password. So, but you're not supposed to paste it here. You're supposed to paste it inside your .env. So how will I do that? I will come here and say email, and then I'll say password or email password. I'll paste this here, and then my email, I'll cut my email out. I'll paste it here. So the password we generated here is the password we'll be using to send emails. It is not our email password we'll be using. The only time you use your email password is if you are using any domain emails like accessbank.com, utribe.com, CareerEX.com, but your own personal Gmail, you will not be using your personal Gmail password. That's what the password is for. So here I will put in process process.env.email. And then here I'll put process.env.password, process.env.password, sorry, capital letter, like this. So, but you generate password only for Gmails. Other emails, you don't generate password. Other services, rather, you don't generate password. I'll click done, and you'll not see that password again. So now I can close this. Yes. It means that the Gmail, the backend, will just be sending out emails with this email without requiring any two-factor authentication. But you must enable two-factor authentication. You must enable two-factor authentication before you can generate an app password. And then you use the app password here. So this is the first step to generate a message to send. The second thing you want to do is the details that you want to send. So I will say here, the details I want to send is a const details to send. Let me call it const detail to send. You can call the variable anything. It's going to be from where, which email do I want to send it from, to who, which email do I want to send it to, the subject, what should be the subject of the email, and then here you can add HTML. What HTML I want to send, I will just put H1 here. H1. Now you can craft that. This part, a lot of company pay good money for this part. You're going to design a very good company email template. Design it very well and then keep it here. They pay a lot of money. Most times they pay it to you. You're going to get somebody who knows how to write HTML and then create it here. So that email that you're going to see in your inbox is actually designed with HTML. It's not random email. Sometimes it can be designed in Zoho, it can be designed any other place, but most time backend developers design it and put it here. So I just want to send hello. I don't have time to craft out the HTML, but you can craft out the HTML. So I will just put a service something here, call it welcome to backend, or welcome to backend email, whatever I want to call backend email, like this. And yeah, so from, I'll be using this email as my from. Now the one thing is important, like the email you are using as your authorization may really not be the email you are sending from, but most times it's good to be the same emails. So I'm sending from my main email, and who am I sending to? I'm going to, so what you can do is you can drop your emails for me. I will try with your emails and send you emails from here. So the next thing I want to do is send the email. So I will come here and say const result will be equal to await. What did I call the transporter? I call it mail transporter. I'll paste it, dot send email. And then what do I want to send? These details. And paste. And all of this is supposed to be done inside try catch. I always forget try catch. Now the reason for try catch is so that if there's any error, the server will not crash. So that the server will not crash. So I will add a try catch here. Try catch. So here I want to console log the error. That is all. And then all of these things, I want to put them inside a try. Like this. So this is all. Now what I'll be doing is this. I want this function to accept email. So it will be accepting email every single time. If it's going to be accepting email every single time, that email, let me save this. That email is the email I want to send the message to. Or let me call it user email. So whatever email that is passed in, that is where I want to send the emails to. No. For schemas, you don't use try catch. For schemas, you don't use try catch. So what this is done, I need to export this function. That's all. I'll come here and say module.export is equal to this. So I export that and save. Now, where do I want to use this email? I want to use this when users register. When they register, where's our register? Register here. So when they register, I want to send them an email. So I'll say await and then pass in the email that the user registered with. Pass it in here. And then save. That is all. So how do I send? Because I added it in the register, I need to go to this register API in my Postman. So I have registered, not this one. I think it's this one. Yeah. So now I can start sending out emails. Now, if it returns successful without showing any error here, then it means that our emails are sending. So if this does not show any error, it means the emails are sending. I will try with this one, Stanley first. Replace this email here and send. So this returns successful and it crashed here. It says missing credentials for plane. Missing credentials for plane. So I need to check what exactly I put as my credentials. It said it is missing. What service did I add? What service did I add? Okay, this is Gmail as my service. This is Auth. Oh, it's not called email and password. It is called user and pass. User and pass. But we know that it is actually email and password. But it's not called email and password. It's called user and pass. User and pass. So what I would do is, Stanley, yours has passed. We were supposed to use yours. Let me use this person. Because you've created an account, you can't create an account again. Because if I send you, the user account already exists. So I will try with this person. So what I will do is Control C, clear it, run it again. See that MongoDB is connected, and then change this email, paste it, and send. It went successfully, but it says still missing credentials. That would mean that something is missing. User and pass. You know what? Let me put this all as a string and see. That could be the reason. The credentials.
Sir, your email, I don't know. That one is on lowercase. Is it not supposed to be on uppercase, or it doesn't matter?
Oh my. I am sorry. It's supposed to be uppercase because that is how I typed it here. Oh, so I'm sorry. It's like I said, a lot of these things are things that I will take my time to do it. So because you are teaching it, there's going to be a little errors here and there. Thank you. So Said, your own has passed. Let's try Joshua. I'll send this again. So account returned, and it also crashed. Invalid login, username and password not accepted. So does it mean that the email I created that account for is not the email? So what I would do is, the possibilities that I think is because I used string on both sides. I use string here and I use string here. So what I would do is I will remove one of these strings and try again. I'll remove one of these strings and try again. But I'm not supposed to have issues with this. So what I'll do is I'll try with Shitu's own. I'm not supposed to, but let's try one last time. Okay. Control C, run it again. Did I save here? I saved. And then send this email again. Then it crashed. So it means that the email and password I created is not for the email I am using. I am using davidsamson.ud@gmail.com. Wait. Hi. Oh my God. Are you people seeing what I'm seeing? Here it is called password, whereas here it is called email password. What is wrong with me? Somebody call my uncle. Tell my uncle it's not my own. No, it's not my own. No, uncle is not my own. No. So the email and password I'm calling is actually wrong. That is what is actually causing this thing. So I'll save this and try again. My village people, they don't want to leave me. Let me try Schwab this time. So I'll leave that. It has restarted. Then I'll change this again and paste. Send. Now the email has sent successfully and there is no error. So Adamu Shwaibu, please confirm your email if you received any email. Let me start from the beginning with Karim. Let's see if she's going to receive an email that will say hello and the subject is welcome to backend. So I'll send this. The email has been sent. So Karim, confirm if you got that email. Let's try easy. And I'll try this and send. A server is not crashing. Easy, you can also confirm if you got an email. Let's try with we have tried this one. We have tried wisdom. I think so. Let's try wisdom. You can also show us a screenshot of how the email looks like. I know it will not look fine, but just to confirm that we actually got an email. So wisdom will send to you. Let's send to Steven. And send to Steven. Yeah, it has been sent. Sam should be, let's see if we have not created an email with your account. And send that. Yeah, that has been sent. So we've done Stanley. We can't create another account. Yeah, so that is how you send an email. And like I said, you are going to design. It may be you if you are good with HTML, but if you are not good with HTML, you leave it. I've done a few of them, so that is why I know. But if you're not good with HTML, you look for somebody who's good with HTML. Now, companies pay money for it, for these emails, company emails. you can actually, this is like a separate business in the back end. I can build an API that will be sending emails to your users. It can either be newsletter, it can be email marketing, it can be anything. So, but this part is kind of lucrative. So you can market it individually, not the whole backend. So I can create an API to be handling emails for you, sending out emails and all of that. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah. Now, like I said, this is just for my own personal email. If you want to, you can do it with a Zoho email or any other email, and you don't need to generate in-app password. Just put the email password here, and it will go straight like that. Well, multiple users is, that means you need to create a new endpoint. You know that this endpoint, this is our endpoint here. It happens at once. So one user will send us the details and it will send the email. Another user call the API and send the details. So, but if you have so many emails sent to you at once, you can actually create a loop, like a for loop, a for each, or a map, either map or for each, to send emails for each of those emails. Yes, you can send to multiple users at once, but you'll be using a loop to send that email. So you will loop through to send to everybody at the same time. All right, we've been able to validate token. We've been able to validate, what is it called? To send emails. The last thing, but not the least, because we still have a class tomorrow to cover, is to deploy this project. So do we have any question? Drop your question. If there is no question, Karim, that depends. That's what I'm saying now. Karim, it depends. If you are hired as a back-end developer, it means it includes everything. It includes everything. But I am saying that some companies can actually hire you only for the sake of creating API that will send emails. They are not hiring you as a full backend, but just for the sake of sending emails. Some people do that. Yes, you can also send email, but that you do JavaScript. You can also send at intervals with JavaScript, and then it's called set intervals. So in JavaScript, we have intervals. Can you send and also show password? Yes, you can now. It depends on the format that you generate here in your HTML. So here you can be using a div. Let me cut it, Control X. You can be using a div. Sorry, no, this place HTML doesn't work here, so it can be quite difficult. And then break it into two. So here you have a div, and then you have another one. So you can actually be sending anything here. It can be the password. Sometimes you generate the password on the back end and send it to the user. So you can be the password, and it can also be the email. So I will try and send this to some persons. Let me see. This, I'll call it email. Email is going to be this. Sorry, this, and this. And then this is going to be called your password. Your password is going to be this. So this is going to be saying thanks, and save it, thanks. What else? This will be your login details. I remain this to your login details. Hello, user, password, email, and this. So if I save this, and I will try sending this out for whenever you log in, You can actually call this any other place, but I can't call it in the register because I've created an account. So I can call this in the login and log in every other person, which will be here. So I will say await, send email, and pass in the email of the user, and then save. So now I can, this is the password we used. I'll copy this password, come back to login. Where is login? This is login. Go to the body and change this password. So let's try. I think we've created your account. So, but let's send to Ayo. Let's send to this email. We're trying to send you an email. Here, V, and send. Say your user account does not exist. Okay, that means we need to first create your account before we can log you in. Here, so I'll rename this, paste it here, and send. So the email has been sent. Our server did not crash. Let's try logging you in again and send now. Yeah, so Ayo, you should see 2 emails from us. Yeah, that's how good we are. You should see 2 emails. Let's try somebody else who is going to show us screenshots now. Adamu Shwaibu, let's send to you. V. Now, if you see our emails, just send us a screenshot so that we continue with something else. Who else? Said. Let's send to Said. Yeah. If you see our emails, let me see that my server is not crashing. It's not crashing. If you see our emails, just drop a screenshot so that we know that it's working. Who else can we send to? Let's send to Stanley. We didn't send to Stanley last time. So let's send now. All right. So has anybody dropped a screenshot? Nobody. Let's send to another person. Who again? Let's try Karim and Daisy. All right, and then Hazy. So sending emails with Node Mailer is free and you don't have a limit. But if you are using Zoho, okay, the email is not recognized, it happens. You get to see this thing, this spam warning most times, it happens. You can. So do we have any question from all? How we exported it is the same way we export every other function. You just say the same way we export every other function. Modules.export, then you put the name of the function. The same way you export every other function. Okay. So what can a beginner put in their CV experience? I think we've talked about this the last time. The first thing you want to talk about is this. Now, when it comes to building backend, they don't take backend as a joke. Most times they will not be asking you questions as what is MongoDB, what is this, what is that, what is the other one. No, they will not ask you that kind of a question. So let me open I open a job site and it's called Well Found. This is a very good site in case you're looking for foreign gigs too. It's there, but I just want to use it to explain what is going to be as your experience for you now that is learning. This can also be applied for LinkedIn. For what's the other one? The other one is called Indeed. So many of them. So here they are looking for a full stack developer and a back-end developer, and it's a remote gig, and this amount is what they are paying you. Now, in most cases, you're not supposed to be asking for this amount. You should be asking for something way lesser, not because you don't know the job, but because you are coming from Nigeria. That's the bad thing they've done to us. Now, most of these foreign gigs do not trust you. So, but I'm not saying you cannot ask for $35K per year. You can. So if I click on this, they say no visa sponsorship, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is what you want to put as your experience. Build sleek and intuitive web-based application. That's for the backend. That's for front end. For the backend, design, build, and maintain API services. So if you have been submitting our assignment, you know that we've asked for a few assignments so far. Authentication, we asked for so many stuff, but the one you have currently now is this final project. If you finish it, you're also going to go over to the next one, which is going to be the incubation program. These are two key and very big experiences. But just putting the name alone is not enough. If you just put the name, I built, what is it called? Give me one. A donation platform is not enough. You need to put it in this way. I designed, I built, and I maintained RESTful APIs that will do login, register, fund wallet, fund account, retrieve user. So you are supposed to list out everything, single thing in details. Before you start listing them in details, you need to come back and list out what you use to build it. Number one, Express. You start with Node, Express, MongoDB, what's the other one? JWT, Bcrypt. So you need to mention all of these details. If the recruiter sees that you know these things, they will not ask you those questions. But if you don't put them, they will ask you those questions. Because like I said, a lot of people don't know this secret. But the secret is this. People who will be interviewing you for jobs are not good backend developers. They don't even know how to develop all these backends. What they just know is how to put you under pressure, how to put you under hot seat. So if they are able to put you on that hot seat, your reaction will tell them whether you know what you are doing or you don't know what you are doing. For a front end, they will ask you to show us a website you have built. But for a backend, what will you show them? Absolutely nothing. But if you mention the project you have built, you mention the individual technologies. I don't mean just mention I built with Node.js. No, mention all the dependencies you used. Mention why you use those dependencies. For example, I built an e-commerce platform here. That is the title of the experience. But under it, you're going to be putting small paragraphs. I built a login API that verifies users' email and password and then generates a token to grant them access. The second one, I was able to send users email using Node Mailer and so on and so forth. So you mentioned the dependencies you used and you mentioned what you did with them. That is what the recruiter is looking for. The recruiter, again, is not the developer. They're just good. They're HR. They're just good with putting you under pressure. That is all. So that should be your experience. So far, your goal should be finishing this, your personal project, jumping on the incubation program, and you have a quality experience to land any job you want. So far as it is on the back end. If you do these two things, you have the experience you need to land any project you want. And like I said, don't expect that the project is going to be exactly what you know. No, I have shared my experience in the variety night. I was offered a job. The job was to come to Dubai and work on APIs for them, some APIs and external APIs and so on and so forth. At that time, I had no idea most of the things they are mentioning there. I know some of them, but I don't know some of them. So instead of paying attention to what the person was saying, he was saying, okay, come over to Dubai, we'll pay you so and so amount of money. But if you want to stay in Nigeria and do the work, we'll pay you half of the money. Now, at that point, I wasn't even reasoning the money. I was reasoning what they wanted me to do. I wanted to know everything in the project. But that is not possible. You can't know everything they're asking you to do. You will know some. You will not know some. So, but if you know some, then go ahead and apply for the job. Go ahead and take the job. While you are working on the project, you will learn the remaining ones. But if you are waiting for when you know all of the project, you will not know all of them, including I myself. To this date, there are some projects I've worked on. I don't know. As a matter of fact, there's an e-commerce, a real estate project we want to work on. We're going to be implementing AIs. We're going to also be implementing VRs. So meaning that users are going to stay in their house using AIs to search for houses, using AI to inspect houses and all of that. I have absolutely no idea. I know that my team, they are not listening to this video, so I can say this to you. I have absolutely no idea how to do that, but I have this confidence that I will do it. So all I'm waiting for, give me money. Once you fund me with money, the project will kick it off. I will build it. So that should be your mindset. Don't be waiting for when you know everything. You can never know everything. You know some, you will not know some. But if you know some, just go ahead and take the job. That's it. Okay, when the job comes up first, we are waiting for money because I don't do anything without money. You have to bring money first before we start listening to you. We'll start looking for money. So if the project comes out, of course, 1 or 2 persons were going to Authenticate. But in that case, I think if you have any questions, yeah, go ahead.
So in the validate authentication.js file, can you go there, sir?
Validate, yeah, here.
Yes, when we created the variable decoded,
yeah,
is the purpose of the variable like to verify the token generated by the front end and compare it with the access
token. Exactly. So what we are doing is we are taking the token that was sent to us and asking JWT to verify whether it is the same thing with the token we used to generate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we have created the variable the user variable, and we said the user should find like the user will find one. We actually use decoded.user. I don't get that, please. Can you please come again, sir?
Here, 2 things are happening here. At this decoded, the browser, the JWT is trying to decode this token because it was JWT that generated that token. And it generated it with this, our access token. So we are asking it now, take away this, our access token from it. What is the remaining thing here? Return it to us as the decoded. That's one way to put it. Another way to put it is, what do you think is stored inside this access token? This is what you use to generate it. Please take this thing you used to generate it and decode it for us and tell us what was inside it. What did we use to sign it? The user details. You know that when we are signing that thing, this is what we use to sign it. The whole of the user details. So it means that inside that token, which we are signing with this, there's going to be all of the user details. And that all of that user details, let me just console log it for you. I will console log decoded. So I'll try and log in and console log decoded. Now I'm logging in now. I've logged in and it's also going to send email. Okay, I didn't get the console, this thing here. So let me check again. Validate token. I'm trying to console log. Okay, it's not in the login that you will find it. You find it in the, yeah, it's not the login. So you need to take the token, copy the token, and go to the other API, which is this auth, and paste this thing, replace it with this, and then send it. So inside the token, this is the decoded, and what we use to sign it is everything in the user. And everything in the user, we have the ID, we have the first name, we have the last name, the email, the password, created and updated at. So what we want to do is to take one of these details and find the user again, just to be very sure that this account still exists in our database, or this account actually exists in our database. So you can either choose to go with dot underscore ID or go with their email. So what I did here was to go through decoded dot user dot underscore ID. That should be the ID. So MongoDB finds by this, but if I want to go with their email, I can say email and go with underscore email, and this will still work. To still work. So it is either you are finding them with their ID or you're finding them with their email, like this. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So
And also, when you imputed your token into Postman, I didn't get that. My network was bad then when you did it. So I tried to do my own and I was receiving an error because I did not follow.
The first thing is the user needs to log in. When they log in, it will be coming back with an access token. Now we have another endpoint, not the login endpoint, this is another endpoint. Now this endpoint requires a token. How do we know it requires a token? Because here, if I close the login, I have this auth, and here it has validate token. So that means it requires token. The login does not require token. So all your protected routes that require token, what you need to do is first log in. When you log in, you copy the token, which will be this. You copy it, go over to that route that requires token, change the token to bearer token, copy this, delete it, and paste the token. When you paste the token and you send, it will decode the token and return the user. So, and if I go to my console, I will see that it actually fetched me the user. This time I'm using emails to find them. So that is how you pass in that token.
Didn't we impute it into the headers at all?
You can actually impute it in the headers. Now, the thing is this, there are two ways to impute it. The first way is to impute it in authorization and bearer token. So if you impute it in authorization and bearer token, it is actually going to be in the headers. But if you are putting it in the headers, click the headers, you need to type out, let me make this bigger. You need to type out the key as authorization, which is this, then type out bearer yourself because it's a bearer token, and then give space and paste the token, then send your request. It will still do the same thing. So either ways, they all do the same thing. So type the authorization, type the bearer, and paste the token, or go to authorization, select the bearer token, and paste the token. It's still the same thing.
I get it. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Sir,
Yeah, let
please,
me just post this. Go ahead.
Yeah, the front end gets data from the back end using fetch. How do they send data to the back end?
They make
Now, I'm
posts
not
now,
talking
like
from the user, but from the developer.
come again. I didn't get the question. How do they get data? How?
I said, like they make requests from the back end using fetch,
Okay.
like fetch from the back end. Now, like they
Okay.
will be sending us something like the bearer token. How do they send the requests? How do they send this info to us on the back end? Is it using the same post?
Okay. Wisdom. The question is actually not for backend, but I'm going to answer you. This is what I would do. Now, if you are going to be sending details, the reason why I'm answering you is because you can also be sending details to anybody. It doesn't have to be front end, send it to back end alone. Back end can also send to back end. Like the project I'm working on is my back end, send it to Flutterwave back end. So how you send is const response is equal to await axios dot post. Now, I don't have Axios here. That means I need to install Axios. Now, Axios is a utility that you can use to send requests. Now, it's one of the best. There are other ones, but I like using Axios. So if you want to send, you'll be using Axios. This is Axios based on this. Now, it can send from front end, which is the client. It can also send from back end, which is the server. Like that. So Axios is what we use to send. And how do you send? Axios.post, you paste the URL on the endpoint that you are making the request to. Now, the next thing you want to do is enter the payload, which might be the email, the password, whatever you are sending. You enter the third one, which is the headers. Or you know what, just call it headers. Headers. No, I think this needs to be inside an object. Yeah, headers. So there are two objects. The first one is the payload. The second one is the headers. Inside these headers, you pass in your authorization. And then it's going to be something like this, bearer, and then you pass in the access token. So somewhere here, you have the access token like this. And then if they also want, you can also send the content type, and that's all. After that, the next thing you want to do is wait for the response and say const, or you just return the response anyway. Return res.status, or whatever it is, but just know that you're just returning the response, which is this response. You don't have to call it response. You can call it res. You're just returning the res. So this is not supposed to be inside here. Cut it out. It's supposed to be outside. Yeah. So all of this will now be inside a function. You can call it const fetch or post or anything you want to call it is equal to an async function that you paste this inside. So what this is doing is that you are creating a variable that will hold the response that will be returned. You call the await. You call axios. Axios will make the request for you. So here you state the request type, whether it's a get, whether it's a post, whether it's a patch. Now, if it is a get, if it's a post request, it means you put the URL and the endpoint, then you put the payload that you are sending. If it's a get request, you're not going to be adding this payload. If it's a patch request, you will add a payload. If it's a delete request, you will not add payload. So, but in the headers here, you should be sending authorization. Now, the authorization is going to be a type of bearer space and the access token like this. So this is how the front end sends requests, not just the front end, the back end. And I can actually show you this in a real life code, which is on this server where we're doing a little interaction with the Flutterwave API. So on this API, I'm calling service response await actions.post. And the endpoint is Flutterwave biller code, an item code, and then payment. Now the payload has to be the country, the customer ID, the reference, the amount, and the callback URL. And then the header contains the authorization and the content type. And then I am returning the response. That's just it. So it doesn't have to be just front end to front end. It can also be to back end to back end. We can also try that out at our own time. So on that note, do we have any question or should we deploy this project? Any question or should we deploy this project? All right, let's deploy. Okay, to deploy a project is very simple. The difficult part is building the project. So, but if you build your project, deploying is very easy. Now, it depends on the cloud storage. If you are deploying a government website, if you are deploying a government website or a bank website or you use a special kind of server. The server you are using, it doesn't mean that other servers are not good. No. Nigerians love big things. So if you are building for government, you should be using AWS. If you are building for banks, be using AWS. But most cases, you will not be the one deploying, but I'm just saying, in those places, because the reason why I use AWS is anything can arise and they sue you to court. The only people I know or we know that will come to court and present anything or say anything is AWS. Any other person is not coming to court for you. So that is why Nigerians like using AWS. But there are other servers. If you are building any other project, pharmaceutical project, financial project, any other project, you can use Heroku, you can use DigitalOcean, you can use Render. There are any of these three. There are other ones. But these are the three I like using. So I like using Render. Most cases, of course, you see servers that I have here already. These are different servers I've deployed on this Render account. So you can use any of these. Yeah, Nigerians like, not like Nigerians like courts. Nigerians like accountability. I was invited for a project in Abuja. So I was invited for that project in Abuja, and in the interview, the board was asking questions. They started asking, what server are we going to be using to deploy this project? And I mentioned Heroku. I told them I'll be using Heroku. They asked me, does Heroku pay tax in Nigeria? Does Heroku have any of their office in Nigeria? So Nigerian government wants who they can hold accountable if anything happens. So just in case your server crash, people lose their money, or anything happen, and they sue you to court, who will they hold responsible? Now, I know that AWS will always come out, but I don't know if AWS pay tax to Nigerian government. I don't know, but that's where I knew that there are some servers you can use. There are some servers you can't use for government jobs and for bank jobs. But every other jobs, feel free to use any other. Now, these servers are not cheap. Heroku is about $25 per month. but it depends. And also, DigitalOcean is about $25 per month, maybe $15. Render is about $25 per month also. So they are not cheap. AWS is not that expensive. AWS, I think, is also, it has a tier of $25, they have $15, also have $5. And also, Heroku also have $5. Heroku has $5. DigitalOcean also have for $5 per month. But what I use is pay as you go. Pay as you go is that you will put your credit card details, your dollar card details into these servers. Depending on the number of requests that the backend is making or that is being made to that backend, that will determine how much you will pay per month. If your backend or your software have only one user, you will not pay the same money as somebody who has 10 users. You also not pay the same money as somebody who has 100 users, or somebody who has 1,000 users, or somebody who has 1 million or 2 million users. So this is the reason why most servers crash. The person who owns the project might be budgeting to spend $25 per month, but the users that have downloaded the app or using the website might be up to 25 million. So that will exceed his budget and his server will shut down because the payment made is not equivalent to the request being made. So the server will go down. He has to increase his budget for the server to come up again. So in most times, that's what actually crashes the server. So when you are building a website, be rest assured that tell the client, if your number of client if your user base increases, your backend is going to become very expensive. So with that being noted, can you guess how much Access Bank will be spending on their backend? Or maybe OPay will be spending on their backend? Or maybe any of these applications that you know that has thousands or even not millions of users. So guess how much they'll be spending. So depending on the number of users that the application has, will also mean how well you, the backend, will sleep. Sometimes you as a backend, you will not even sleep well if the user base have increased to 20 million because the server can be crashing so many times. It is either the payment made is not enough or the traffic is too much. Now, I built a website one time. It always crashes on weekend. Every weekend it will crash because a lot of people are at home and they are using that website. So, and I had to tell the client says, fine, don't worry. Let's leave it like that. Monday and Tuesday, people can come back again. Let it be crashing on weekend and then we're using it on weekday. So as a user, as a backend developer, you need to know a few of these things. So when your server is crashing, sometimes it could be low in funds, it can be too much requests, it can be so many things. Most times it can also be error on your backend. All right, so being a backend developer, the first thing you need to do is to push your code to GitHub. If you push your code to GitHub, you've done half of the job. So I need to find that project that I want to deploy, and it's called, what is it called? I think it's called Have I deployed? I haven't pushed it to GitHub. This is my code. I will try pushing. The first thing you want to do is push your code to GitHub. As a backend developer, most times, if you are building a project for an independent organization, they will be giving you the funds. Like I know one project I was building for one South African team. The developers who are working with me, they say, no, collect the money from them. Collect the money from them. Let you be the one that will fund the wallet. But the South African team, I wanted them to use their hand and pay. As in, I want to create the account for them, let them enter their own card details directly. So it's two ways. Sometimes you can be asking them to pay you the money, you will do it yourself. That is, if you want to do something we call apricot to increase the money small. That's not bad. Sometimes, other times, you can tell them to use their card details. Now, people who trust you will actually use their card details. People who don't trust you will send you the money. But I think everybody I've worked with have actually sent me their card details. So like I said, the first thing you want to do is push your code to GitHub, and I want to push mine now. Git add dot, git commit, git push, and make sure that you have this is pushing node modules. Are you mad? Are you high? Are you high? Like, where is my git ignore? Oh my. I don't have git ignore here. Are you high? That you're pushing node modules. You need to have git ignore dot git ignore, and then ignore node underscore modules, ignore .env, ignore the two of them and save it. So I will run it again. This thing you want to push node modules. Are you okay? So git add dot, git commit, which is commit updated, git push. Oh, that means if I haven't pushed it before, it means I don't have git here. Let me see. I don't think I've pushed this before. I haven't. So I need to create a repo for it. I haven't pushed it before. I need to create a repo. So it's called auth. It's called youth tribe auth or cohort 2 auth. Are you serious? That means I have cohort 2 auth now. Yeah, I should have. Okay, I have cohort 2 auth here. So I have this here. Did this push node modules? This thing push node modules. So are you serious? The node modules is not big, so I will leave it. Git commit updated. Git push origin masters. Now the reason why I am leaving the node modules is because it's going to waste me time to start removing it. But you don't need to push node modules to GitHub. So, but I'm leaving my own because it's going to take me time to remove it. So I've pushed my code. If I check here, I'll see that it was updated 2 minutes ago. This is saying 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. All right. If I come back to my name and my repo, I should see it as number 1. So once you push, now Render and Heroku will allow you push with your GitHub, which is why I like using the two of them. But if you join in a bigger team and you want to use DigitalOcean doesn't always, for DigitalOcean, you need to create a droplet. The procedure is quite different, but it can also allow you to deploy with GitHub, but it's not that straightforward like Heroku and Render. So you can be using Heroku, you can be using Render, but I want to teach you with Render because two of them are the same thing. Now, Heroku doesn't give you free tier again. It's not free, but Render gives you free. You can use Render for free. But the difference here is that for Render, if your account is free, it means that the server will be sleeping sometimes. So it means that whenever the server is inactive for maybe up to 3 hours, I think 3 hours or so, it will sleep. That means that the first person to make request while the server is sleeping, that request can delay for up to 30 minutes. It can be for 1 minute, it can be 2 minutes, it can be 3 minutes, it can delay up to 30 minutes. So when you build free server and you make a request and you see that it is delaying, it means that is because it is a free server. And like I said, Render can give you free server, but Heroku doesn't give you free. They have closed their free server since 2020, I think 2022 or 2021. 2022, they closed their free tier, but the two of them are very good and they deploy the same way. So if you learn Render, you automatically know how to use Heroku. So how do you deploy with Render? You click here to create a new web service, not static website. Static website is the front end, but web service is your server. You can also create a private service, but I don't think that is free. That's not free, but a new web service. You click on it. Now it is trying to bring out all your repos because I logged in with my GitHub account. So if you log in with your GitHub account, it is going to ask you to give access to repos on your GitHub. So you can either give access to all of your GitHub repo or give access to a specific one of your GitHub repo. But I gave access to all of them because I may want to deploy new ones or old ones. So you pick the project you want to deploy. Now, this is the one I want to deploy. It's called Cohort 2 Auth. I will click on it and click on Connect. Now, most times the language may change. You may not see Connect or anything. Or you know that just open Render, click on Create a Service, select the GitHub repo you want to deploy. Now, before you deploy, make sure that your server is running very well locally. Run it locally. Make sure it's working fine before you deploy. So when you come here to deploy, you can give it a name. I might want to do with this name. I like this name. You keep this name. You keep any other thing. In fact, keep everything default. But here is where they charge you. Do you want to pay $7? Do you want to pay $25? Do you want to pay $85? $175? $225, and so on. But you are clicking on the $0 because we are Nigerians. Not really because we are Nigerians. Nigerians pay money. Nigerians pay good money here. We spend good money here. Yeah, so not because we're Nigerians, because we are students. Yeah, we are students learning for free. So you select the free. And when you select the free, this GitHub will not have your .env file when you push it. Forget that my own, I already pushed it without .gitignore that time. I pushed it without just gitignore that time. So, but for your own, you will not have this .env file that will contain all your variables. You will not. You will not have this that will contain all your variables. Why did I do this with my main email when I know I was going to do .variables? You know what? I think I should change my emails and then change this password for you guys. Sorry, let me just change that and give you a different email so that we don't have to. Let me use virtual assistant so that the email is not going to be, where's my account? Manage account. App password. I want to create a new app password and change that one so that, oh my God, do I remember this password? Oh my God. I just hope I know I don't remember this one. Oh, I don't remember this one. Oh, let's try. We'll keep trying until we get it. Yeah, I got it. So I've created a few of them. I think this one, you can't, once you create it, you may not have access to it again. So you want to create, you want to copy it when you create it. I'll create this and I'll copy this thing, copy it, done, and come back here, paste it in my .env here, and save. So just to test that this is working, I'm going to close the server because anytime you update your .env file, you need to restart the server again. Most times it doesn't start automatically. It won't pick up the details there. So let's test whose email are we testing with? Where is that login? So Eze, you need to confirm if you are getting this email. Yeah. Okay, it says cannot. Something is wrong. Username and password. Okay, I used the wrong email to use a different password. I forgot to change the email. I changed the password, forgot the email. So I'll copy the email here. And then switch that here and save it. So you need to restart the server again with Ctrl+C. Then we start this, run, and then log in again. Yeah, so it's a confirm that you're getting this password while I push these details back to GitHub. Git add dot. And the thing is, what if it doesn't add these new details now? Because we have actually added git ignore file. So here, if I refresh this, okay, it has changed. All right, but I just remove this later. So if you want to test it out, you test it out very quickly, or you create yours also. So like I said, when you are deploying, you may not be deploying this .env file at that time. So if you're pushing this to GitHub, it may not go. In fact, it's not supposed to go with your .env file. It's not supposed to go with all these login details, everything exposed. No, it doesn't. It's not supposed to. So when you are deploying your project on Render, you are going to be manually entering those details here, or you import the whole .env file here. So I'll take that again. When you are deploying, you've selected the name, the cohort, everything, you leave it default, leave everything default, select that you are going for the free one. You need to enter your environmental variables here manually, the name of the variable, the value. Then you click and be adding them, or you import your .env file. Click on import, copy everything in your .env. Where is my .env file? Copy everything, and then come back here and paste it here. V. This is how you import and add the variables. So you must import all your variables like this. Otherwise, your server will not run. So you must import all your variables. When you do that, you click on deploy. So before I click on this deploy, do we have any question before I click on deploy? So this is how to deploy a project. So if everything is set correctly, once you click deploy, it will deploy automatically and start running. So it's very easy to deploy a backend on Heroku and on Render. So any other question, ask before I click on deploy. The .env is hidden. Now, like I said, deploying it, pushing it to GitHub here was a mistake from my own part. You are not supposed to do this. As a matter of fact, I can actually delete it, but you are not supposed to. Now, when you are deploying your project, this is your cloud. It is only you that can log into this cloud storage. Nobody else can log into this cloud storage. So this cloud storage, you need to manually enter what your environmental variables that you use to create that server. Because it is this cloud that will be running the server, and it needs to know what your variables are, so that when it is running your server, you know what the values you are using, and it will use that variables to run it like that. So it is not for the cloud. The environmental variables are not secret, but for every other person, it should be secret. Yes. You'll be entering the environmental variables in the cloud, whether it's Heroku, it's Render, it's AWS, whatever it is, you enter that token. Any other question before I click on deploy? I want to believe you know how I got here. You just create your account, link your GitHub, and then select the repo you want to deploy. That's all. So if we're okay to deploy, just drop a thumbs up. So I click on deploy. How can you, Joshua, I didn't get this part of your question. How can you do what to the front end? Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. So when I click on deploy, it will start deploying. I've clicked on deploy already. So it will start deploying. Now this is deploying. It's going to tell me, show me some logs. If there's any error, see here is building. It says building. You can cancel the deploy if you want. Whatever details you want to check, you can check it here. So it is cloning. It has cloned the project. It's deploying. It's running. And if it deploys, it will tell me that it has deployed. So, but I might encounter errors here. I may not. So build was successful. It has built and everything is successful. It is still deploying. It's not done. It is in progress. So we're waiting for it to deploy. You might encounter errors. You may also not encounter error. But whatever error you encounter as a backend developer, it's your job to solve it. But deploying shouldn't be very hard. Now, a lot of persons are scared of deploying backend. But if you know that is not hard. But if you don't know, you don't know. That is why backend developers charge so high. They will tell you, do you know how much to deploy a backend project? You're going to be deploying something about $25. Do you know how much? So my server failed to deploy, and I need to find out what the error is. Return process dot open file path name invalid what? Okay, let's find out. Using Node version 20, okay. But so this is my error, and I'm trying to find out where that error could possibly be in my Node modules. Node, I think it's because I have Node modules uploaded. I think that's why I'm having this. So what I would do is I would delete the Node modules file. This project, I'll delete this one because I think it's coming from my Node modules that I have there. I have Node modules here, so I will go to settings. Oh, I need to enter so many things to delete this thing now. Delete, copy this, paste, delete, and then use passkey. You know what? I think I have to use Authenticator app. David is going to be 0.812. So that's deleted. I will create a new repo and call it cohort 2 auth. And then it's public. Create this repo. So I'll start with the normal git init. Clear this. Git init. Git add dot. Then where's the git commit? Git commit. Your branch is up to date. Then git. Now, because I've added the URL to this, if I do this, it's going to fail. So I will change it to set URL. Set -URL, hit enter, and then push master branch. Push the master branch. Now, one thing with Render is that Render picks up the same repo name automatically. So there's every possibility that our Render can actually pick up what we've done to deploy it automatically. So whenever you push to GitHub, if you connect your GitHub to Render, whenever you push to that particular repo, Render is going to automatically get it and redeploy again. But I don't think it's getting this one. So let me delete this one. I'll delete this one. It says I should enter, type in sudo delete cohort 2. Yeah, that's gone. So I create a new service, web service, and it's going to be cohort 2 connect, and cohort 2 node. Yes, and this is going to be running node index.js. Now, sometimes if your main file is not index.js, you need to specify here. So what I would say is npm and npm install. Now, these are just my way of, but you don't need to do that. I just need to confirm that my file is index.js. So npm and npm install node index.js, keep it to be free. Copy my environmental variables again. Paste them inside here and add variables. So I think this should work, and then deploy. If I encounter that error again, I need to call my uncle again. So it's deploying, it's building. And it failed again. Command key line. I think this could be coming from my .env, or okay, it's coming from the command key line. That's npm and npm install. Yeah, this is where my error is coming from. npm. I wasn't supposed to do this. I don't know who sent me. Where do I change that? I can go back, come back here and delete it again. I wasn't supposed to do that. So, but let's where is it? Let's find it. Edit this. Saved it. So it was that npm and npm install. So let me see. Now it's deploying again. Uncle is normal. Oh no. So is the render like upgraded version? No. The render is Heroku is a cloud storage. You can deploy any project there. You can deploy Python. You can deploy PHP, Laravel. You can also deploy Node.js. So it's not just for Node.js. It's for any server at all. It's not. There's one called Cyclic. Cyclic is only for Node.js. So now it's deploying. If it fails, I need to call my uncle. Uncle is not my own. No, it's not mine. It's not mine. All right. So are you not supposed to remove dev script? No. The dev script doesn't do anything. It is just for development. It doesn't have anything to do with once it enters the server. It's not going to do anything there. Okay. So it's deploying. Since it's deploying, it means that it's possibly going to deploy successfully. Let's just wait for it to deploy. Okay, we just have 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes. But you can also be asking your question. So deploying, and it's still in progress. It hasn't finished. It's still in progress, and it failed again. What the heck? Then it means that our project running on version. So I need to check. So it tried to run node index.js and it failed. So I need to check our project and find that why it failed. So this is the Node version we're using. So what will happen is I will need to check this and then figure out why it is failing, because it's trying to run Node index.js. Let me try running Node index.js. Control C, Node index.js. Server, it's running on my server here. It's running. So why is it not running on the cloud? So guys, welcome to backend. This is where your backend project begins. But this is not supposed to take time. But I will debug this and then I'll get back to you tomorrow to find out where the error is. So hopefully tomorrow we'll deploy this back again. All right, so that's it for today. Do you have any other question or should we call it a day?
Yes. So you haven't told us how it communicates to the front end.
We have not been able to deploy it now. Now, if you deploy it, it's going to send you a URL. Now, it is that URL that you'll be using instead of this local host. You no longer use this local host again, but you'll be using the endpoint. But this local host port 8080 will be replaced with that live URL. So it is that URL that will be used to communicate with both the websites and both the mobile app. There are so many errors you'll be encountering on the back end. This is one of them. When you are trying to deploy, it's one of them. I think it's from the way we've written our codes. You know, I didn't pay attention to everything in the codes. So it's possibly that it is trying to run our code and something is crashing. It's trying to run our code and something is crashing. So, but I will need to find out what that is and then deploy it again tomorrow. So, but that is all for today. If you are okay to end the class here, you can drop a thumbs up so that we end today's class. And for the
Is there no way
code, is that one?
Yeah, is there no way, because what we have been doing with Postman, we are just testing the individual APIs. Is there no way to just test the APIs at the same time before deploying?
All of them at the same time?
Yes.
No. You can't test all of them at the same time. It's one API at a time. Except you are going to build a loop and give it different URLs to loop through the whole URLs and make requests to all the URLs like that. Except you want to do that. So, but in the absence of that, see you all tomorrow. Bye. Bye-bye.